Hello, my beloveds. I want to welcome everyone for joining me again. This is day 3 of the Fire of Grief, and my name is Esha Estar. It's hard to believe that I'm actually doing this. I'm still in the place of like, am I really doing this? Yes, I'm really doing this. And as I observe myself at the end of each recording, um, I'm just amazed that one, that I've taken the courage and the leap of faith to actually do this, and to speak and to share some of my wisdom that I've gained throughout these last 8 years. One of the things that's really been coming up as I've been reflecting on these last couple of days of recording was the old me would have stayed in a place of comfort. She would not have been brave enough to do this. And I love her. I love her. And I realized that part of what she was holding on was this identity of being so afraid to be seen. Um, and a huge part of that was because of all of the unhealed grief that she hadn't processed. Um, and it really made me realize how, when we don't process our griefs, um, how they linger in ways that we don't expect, right? And so they really do rob us of life, of joy, of our power. And as women, um, we want to step into our power. We want to live an empowered life, and this is why I'm doing this, right? Particularly for women, is for us to collect, reforge that the fire within our belly, within our wombs. And when I say womb, it doesn't have to mean your physical womb, but your energetic womb, but that creative center of our being. But it's to create the fire within that space within us so we can feel empowered, so we can feel a deep sense of joy. So yeah, I'm really enjoying doing this. I'm enjoying reading your comments, and it's been, yeah, it's been a wonderful unfolding process. I can't say that I'm 100% yet fully comfortable in this medium, and that's okay. I don't have to be comfortable. I think everything that I've experienced in my life is preparing me to do things that are quite uncomfortable. So how are you? How are you doing? Let me know in the comments how you are, and how things are meandering in your life, because I know we're going through a whole lot of things in the world, and some of that is hard, hard to watch, hard to absorb, hard to comprehend. I know I find myself having some moments where I'm like, are you kidding me? Really? And then I have to come back to myself, because I realize that I'm not making good use of my energy if I leave myself out there. So I have to pull myself back in. I have to do my work, ground. And by work, I mean I have to bring myself back to my center. So let's take a moment, right? Let's take just a quick moment to do just that, to ground. And so wherever you are, just take a couple moments to lift your spine, right? I like to say coming into our regal posture. So the crown fits well on top of the head and it's not teetering off to the side. Shoulders are relaxed and pulled down. Your jaw is soft, so no harshness in the jaw. And if it feels safe, you can close your eyes. And if it doesn't, keep your eyes open. But do what feels right for you. That's the most important thing. Do what feels right for you in this moment. And let's exhale the breath out of our mouths. And let everything settle. And as you feel everything settle and just notice what you feel in your body. Just become aware of your body. Become aware of sensations and such as heat or cold or tingling. Notice which part of your body you might be feeling some sensation. Become aware of any feelings that you might have right now. Thoughts. We're just welcoming these aspects of us, right, to this moment. We're practicing being good stewards to ourselves by being present and aware. And I like starting off our sessions this way because what we're actually doing is practicing embodiment, right? Because oftentimes we listen to podcasts or we watch videos and we go straight into it and we don't do any grounding of ourselves to really receive the information. So let's take a deep breath in and a breath out through the mouth. Let's do that 2 more times. Deep breath in and a breath out the mouth. And 1 more time. Deep breath in and the breath out. So thank you for doing that with me. It also helps me just to ground before I get into it. And so today in day 3, I wanted to get into the element of fear. Fear and grief, they go hand in hand. They're different. Fear and grief are not the same thing, but they do go hand in hand. And fear, when we lose something, whether it's a person, aspect of our health, our job, our livelihood, whatever it may be, when we go into that place of fear, we go straight into fight or flight, right? So the sympathetic nervous system kicks in. And what ends up happening when we go into that mode, this self-protective mode, we think, right? Like there's a huge bear or tiger or lion after me and I've got to protect. So what do? We tense up, we constrict and we tighten everything. And the tightening is happening on a physiological dimension, right? Physically. It's also happening on a psychological dimension in our mind. It's also happening on an emotional dimension, right? Meaning that my emotions are now rooted in fear and all of the other offsprings of fear. And energetically and spiritually, we're also tightening. And so we tend to think of grief as this one-dimensional experience, and it's not. Right? It's not for the simple reason because we are not one-dimensional beings. We are multi-dimensional beings having a multi-dimensional experience. And when we go through the process of grief, we're having a multi-dimensional experience of grief. We're feeling it on all different levels of ourselves. Right? And so I really want to make that clear because I think we have this misunderstanding. I definitely did, until I had the experience of, oh my God, this is way more than I imagined. Like every aspect of me is fully activated right now, fully, turned on, but not turned on in the way that we want to be turned on, but we're turned on. It is in this time of great distress that everything in our bodies are lit up like a Christmas tree, right? Like we feel the intensity and that feeling, to feel so big, this enormity of feeling can be too much. And so for many of us, we want to crawl under the blanket. We want to, you know, go into a cave, we want to, whatever it is, but we want to crawl out of it. And so I completely get it and understand why so many don't want to deal with grief. And here is my challenge to you, for us to rise up as women, is what is the price of your silence with your pain? Right? And so the neglecting our grief, neglecting our pain, what is the price we pay for that as women, right? And so we want to, right? This is Women on Fire. We want to set fire to the silence. We want to set fire to the silence because historically women have been conditioned to be silent. But in this new age that we're in, that's the old story. And I can see my old self, who used to be quiet all the time, who was afraid to share her voice. I see her and I'm like, yeah, sister, we're not doing that anymore. Because I do have a lot to say. And I owe it to myself, my experience, my children, to be completely transparent. And the first person, it's not that I have to be transparent with the world. It's about I have to be transparent to myself, right? And so, what is the price of your silence? And where does that silence keep you in a state of limitation with yourself, right? Whether that's a physical limitation, an emotional limitation, an energetic limitation, a spiritual limitation. And so we all want to have this abundance in our lives, right? We all want to have to attract abundance, and yet we can't really attract abundance if we're living in a state of fear and limitation and constriction and tightness. And so what our grief is asking us is, it's asking us, can we be present to acknowledge what is? And so one of the things I've realized is that grief is a multidimensional activator. It's activating the parts of us that have always felt separated, have always felt small, the parts of us that we haven't healed. We talked a little bit about that in the video yesterday. Right? And so there's this sense of, I've lost something. Right? And I get that, like, after Hassel passed away, as my husband, after he passed away, like, he was my biggest cheerleader. And that man loved me. Anyone that knows, that man loved me. And when he died, I have the experience of, what now? Who's going to be my cheerleader? Where's this love, right? Like, and what my experience have taught me is that grief is not who I am. Like, I was having an experience of grief, of this loss and this separation, which was completely valid, right? When you spend 25 years with a person, you know, at that time, that was half of my life. And so now it's like, my God, who am I now? And so I was talking to a friend of mine in Sweden yesterday, and she's currently, she has cancer, and she's been living with it for quite some time, and it's slowly spreading in her system. And she gave me such wise words yesterday. She said, when the raw grief is over, who are you in relation to yourself? When the raw grief is over, who are you in relation to yourself? And this is one of the things that grief will highlight for us. It's like we're always in relation to someone else or to something else, but when that's stripped away from us and it's just us looking in the mirror, it's just that, who are we? And so there's this amazing journey that we go on if we allow ourselves to go on it. And I'm hoping that those of you who are brave enough to jump into the fire, to see yourself, to witness yourself. But the universe wants you to know through grief that you are love. The universe wants you to know through your grief journey that you are love, that you are the embodiment of love. And nothing has been taken away from you. Absolutely nothing. Right? Nothing has been diminished from you. And that's because it's not, if we're using the loss of someone, it's not love that has been taken away from you. It is the deep, meaningful relationship you had with this person. But the love is still there. Even after all these 8 years, I have found myself more in love with my husband than I have ever been. So grateful for his presence, right? So the love's still there. It still grows. There's still, it's still active. It doesn't die. And so, and that's because you are still in this embodiment of yourself and you are carrying on this love. And so others come into our lives to reveal that. When they're no longer here, what's left is this love. And you carry that love within you, but you're also the embodiment of that love. So I really want to make that clear, is that love hasn't left you. You're still, you are love. And the universe, in a strange way that I don't understand everything that the universe sets this journey it sets us on. But one thing I do know is that it never does anything without its own purpose. And so even grief has its purpose for us. So what I realize is that grief is awakening our hearts. That's the activation, right? Is that it's awakening our hearts. And so as we prepare ourselves as women to embody what true power is, what leading as a woman is, we're being asked to tend, or being a mother, a friend, a sister in our communities. We're being asked to tend to the inner aches that we're afraid to attend to. And so life is wanting to be a full life, is wanting to reveal itself to us. But we also have to be willing to accept this full life. And full life doesn't mean that I'm just going to accept this and not that. I like this, but I don't like that. Full life means that I am open to accepting all that is part of life, and loss is part of life. Grief is part of life. Death is part of life. Right? That's the totality of our experience as human beings. Is there are moments and experiences and events of joy, of great joy, and there are moments and experiences and events of great sorrow. We walk hand in hand with all of it. Hand in hand with all of it. So grief is not the enemy, right? Feeling is not the enemy. And if we want to thrive, we have to heal to thrive. And I don't want to fling that word around loosely, because healing, the act of healing, it's not just like this one-time thing, right? Healing is a continuous process. It's like a meandering river that just flows, right? And it goes around rocks and stones and trees and everything, right? It's meandering. It might let out into a sea or an ocean. But the cost of not doing our work is to live half a life. The cost of not doing our work is to live half a life. And we need embodied women who are full with life, who can raise the next young men and women in their heart to feel, to become, someone told me this the other day, that the new wave of humans are homo luminous beings. And I like that, because we need luminous beings and we need luminous women in this world right now, right? And so here are a few things that I have for you. Right? Some things to practice, and I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it, because sometimes I do forget, right? I'm menopausal, and so the memory isn't as as sharp as it used to be, and that's okay, right? Because I'm learning how to live in a new body, honestly, right? And so part of that is to acknowledge simply what is. But before I do that, I want to go back to fear, right? So what does fear look like? Or rather, what does fear feel like, right? It's a little tongue twister there for me. What does fear feel like? I'm going to give you a little bit of some examples of what I experienced. So right after Hassel transitioned, I like to use the word transitioned, like I said before, my body became so active. And I had a lot of chest sensations, like literally, like I felt like someone was splitting my chest apart. It was so uncomfortable. And true story, because I had so much chest issues, every once in a while I would run to the urgent care because I thought I was having a heart attack. I had never experienced a panic attack or an anxiety attack before until this loss. And I was told that I was having a panic attack. Not a big fan, gonna tell you, not a big fan. I hated every aspect of it, but the panic attack was really asking me to tend to the grief, to tend to the grief. So I had a lot of chest sensations. I had a lot of tightening in my belly, in my upper belly. And that's, yeah, that was my solar plexus really activating. I would have a lot of, sometimes I would have hip pain, and it would be on my left side, just out of the blue. And, you know, our hips represent us moving forward, right? I couldn't move forward. There's no way I could move forward like after. And this was maybe even in I think it was the first year he passed away, I started having some hip issues. And it wasn't until I did the work to acknowledge what I was afraid of in terms of moving forward that the hip discomfort alleviated. And honestly, what I was afraid of, it was, how am I going to do this by myself? How am I going to be a single mom? How am I going to handle things financially, right? Because he was the breadwinner of our family. How am I going to do this? And it scared me. And there's so many more things, right? Like I had like head tightness, that felt like my head was in a vice grip, and just inability to sleep. Like I couldn't sleep. Sleep was elusive for me. And so fear is you will encounter fear in the grieving process. But the fear is simply asking us to look at what are the aspects that we're still holding on, seeking to control, because fear is all about control. I don't want to let go of control. But with grief, it's also asking us to tend to the grief, right? Because fear will tighten and constrict, but grief is and the fear will say run, right? Because you're in fight or flight. But the grief is asking us to stay. It's softening an aspect of us to say, stay. Can you stay and be here with me and witness this and acknowledge this? So I have a little ritual that I'd like for you to do. One, you can start by lighting a candle, and you can use this phrase, I welcome what has been lost and I make space to feel. I welcome what has been lost and I make space to feel. So that's the intention that you're setting, right? And then I want you to name the grief, right? Like get a piece of paper, name if it's the people, the moments, the dreams, parts of yourself, whatever the grief is, I want you to name the grief. Right? And then once you've named it and you've given yourself an opportunity to just really sit and notice and sense what comes up once you've named it. Right? Then I want you to move your body. Put on some music, but just move your body, and I want you to move with that sensation. Move with this grief that you've just named. Dance with it. Right? See what comes up through that physical movement. And then if this resonates, after you're done, you could burn it. You can burn the slip of paper or not, right? And to conclude, you can say, I honor you, I release the energetic lack, and I carry your medicine, right? I'm not saying to release the person. What I'm saying, I release the energetic lack, because oftentimes what shows up when we're in grief is that we have a deep sense of lack, that I am now less than because I no longer have this thing. And this might be a perfect little ritual to do for the full moon that's coming up soon. So grief is really seeking to bring us into further wholeness. Right? So, and what I'm saying might not be for everyone, and that's okay, right? Because what I'm interested in is aligning myself with people, with women who are ready to evolve into the next highest version of themselves, who are ready to walk with these elements, aspects of who they are as a human being, because these are all human being things, and they're also spiritual things. Drink some tea. I've realized that talking makes your mouth really dry. So what would it feel like if you were to reclaim what you have buried? What would that feel like? Right? And so there's an opportunity, like what comes to mind is like the Mario Brother games, right? The video game. And I suck at that, by the way. My kids always laugh at me if I play Mario Brothers. I'm not good with video games. But the vision that I'm having is when, they're in their carts and they go up and they capture like a jewel, right? And they power up. That's what's happening for us, is we're going to reclaim some power that we didn't know we had. And this is why this work is so important, is that we're turning our sorrow into a spark to ignite an aspect of us that wants to come online. And what an amazing gift those who have gone forward, moved home, that they leave behind for us. So I want to leave you with not just this ritual, but I also want to leave you with some homework practice to do. Right? So here's your homework, things to practice, right? One, I'd like for you to do an automatic write-in with fear, right? So how this would go. Dear Esha, this is your fear speaking, and just let it flow. Just let your hand write, right? You don't have to worry what it looks like, what it sounds like, but just go. And I had 4 things on the list, but I'm only going to give you 2 since I've given you the ritual. The second thing is I'd like for you to spend more time in nature. If you are currently in grief, I'd like for you to spend more time in nature. Get your feet in the ground, feel the sun on your skin, right? 15 minutes is all you need for sun anyway. But be a part of the technology. Nature is a technology that can give us the best nourishment. I know that was very helpful for me, just putting my headphones on sometimes. I'd go in the park and I'd start dancing. Didn't really care who was looking at me. Sometimes I would cry. I'd walk in the park and cry, sit, watch the lake, whatever it is. But please, whatever you do, get back to nature, because nature is one of our biggest healers. And so I'm going to leave it there for today. And I hope this was helpful. Again, and if you find this content valuable and insightful, please click the like button, subscribe, share it with your friends, with other women that you feel might this content might benefit. I'm slowly getting started here. I have no attachments to it either, which is the freeing part about doing this, is that I just get to show up and be myself, and whatever is to come, yeah, I'm completely wide open of saying yes to that. And this is what my grief experience has really opened me up to. Is yes, saying yes to more life. I never thought that I'd actually be sitting here and saying that, because in the midst of it, it was like, oh my God, I'm dying. But I didn't die. I didn't die. I'm here. I'm here with you. And I love it. And I love it. And I love you. So wherever you are and you listen to this, it's in the morning, it's the evening, hold on. Hold on. Know that you are going to get through this. And this is not your death sentence. It's your life sentence. It is not your death sentence. It is your life sentence. And you are so loved. You are so loved. So until we meet tomorrow, be well, be at peace.